Order. The first thing, Heidi Nightingale's excused. Everyone else is joining us tonight, so thank you. First thing, if I could have a motion to approve the minutes from September 9th.
Move them.
Second.
Any objection, corrections? All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks. We have 3 appointments. The Tom Higgins and Carol Fordyce for the Planning Board, and Patrick Mooney for the Water Quality Management Agency. Could I have a motion to accept those?
Motion?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. First thing on our agenda tonight is a presentation from Tracy Verrier on CEDA's work for the last several years. And I think I saw her. Yes, I did. Is what?
Where would you like me tonight?
Oh. Good, that's where they gotta hear it, right?
Yeah.
Do you mind if I just sit here right here?
That'd be
Hey,
Is
well,
that
I'm gonna
okay?
slide that right down to you, maybe.
Okay.
Do you have your thing or is Rick doing it?
You're still in business,
I
Paul?
do not have a.
So far, that's working.
Do you have a clicker or do you want me to just let you know or?
Just let me know and I'll do it. I don't know if the clicker will work with a. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Oh, okay.
Is this the document you'd like up or would you like a work plan?
This one is fine. So we can go to page 2. And we can have access to this.
Yes.
Okay.
You might already have it somewhere.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not really sure how your system works.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Tracy. Nice to see you all again. I'm excited to kind of talk about where we've been for the last few years and what we're planning on doing into the next few years. Should we, continue to do this. So over the last 3 years, we have done quite a bit of work with businesses throughout Cayuga County. All in all, we've actually worked with almost 350 businesses. 193 of those actually have happened in the last 6 months in our COVID response. So we really picked up the pace a lot in this really pressing time, just like I think everybody else did. There was some overlap between these 2 groups, but each business was only counted once. So I want you to know that these are all individual businesses. We didn't do any double counting here. And I did put up the year-by-year counts in terms of the businesses reached and the entrepreneurs reached. You'll notice they don't add up, but that's just because we might have talked to the same business in multiple years. So that total 156 and 167 is just counting each business once, even if we might have talked to them in multiple years. But I did do a breakdown there by year. You'll see this year entrepreneurs slowed down a little bit. There was a little bit of a lull there with some uncertainty, but it started to pick back up a lot the last few weeks here. And you can see we've had 160 entrepreneurs or 167 entrepreneurs over the last 3 years. That's resulted in at least 48 new businesses. A handful of them have since shut down. Not every business is going to succeed. But I think we have a pretty good success rate as of right now, as far as we know. 45 of those are still in operation or not at least permanently closed. Some of them may have slowed down during COVID, but as far as we are aware, they are still in business and will continue to operate. And those new businesses alone have created at least 97 jobs. So this is just kind of a very high-level overview of our business retention and entrepreneurial work. On the next slide, we've got the graphic from the report here. And I just wanted to touch on a few things on this sheet here. So in terms of the projects that were assisted with financial incentives, these are typically business expansions. There's a couple of startups in there, but they're mostly business expansion or attraction. And the numbers here are really based on what they're telling us in terms of what they're going to do, in terms of investment, jobs to be created, and jobs to be retained. Obviously, anytime someone commits to something over the course of a period of time, things can change. So these numbers are based on what they have told us in their applications and what their benefits are tied to. There is room in these agreements that under extenuating circumstances that, you know, there could be wiggle room in these numbers. But generally speaking, if these numbers aren't met, we do have the opportunity to recapture some of those benefits. All of our IDA benefits have recapture clauses in them now. Obviously, with the current circumstances, we might have some flexibility. But at the end of the day, these are the numbers that the companies, when they applied for financial assistance, had committed to. So that's where these are coming from. Yes, there is some uncertainty now about some of these things, but some of these commitments have actually come in the last few months. So, so that's actually pretty encouraging to know that some of these projects are recent and are happening now as opposed to leftover from 2018. So that's what you're actually looking at here. We are going to get updated numbers for 2020 on the jobs actually created. I do know that it's more than the 62.5. It's just we don't have those reporting numbers yet. We'll be getting those early next year for year end 2020. So we'll make sure to update you at that point on those figures. And ultimately, what we're going for is the job creation, but we're also looking for additional tax revenue. So creating new sales tax, creating additional taxable value on properties to improve revenue for our municipalities and lessen the tax burden on residents. So we can see that starting to happen with additional property assessment and additional tax revenue from projects that have happened over the last few years. On the next slide, our marketing efforts have been pretty substantial over the last few years. We've been taking a lot of different tactics, both locally and nationally, to get out the word about not only what CETA is doing, but what it's like to do business in Cayuga County. So a lot of our marketing is actually focused on Cayuga County as a place to do business, as opposed to CETA as an organization. We do both. We have a newsletter. We do have some content that's focused on CETA services and businesses that have worked with CETA. But then we also have content about doing business in Cayuga County. Like we actually, at the end of last year, did a video focused on our New York Address for Less campaign, which was also a Google campaign. And really just talking about doing business in Cayuga County, how it's affordable, there's space, there's space to grow your business physically. And that it's typically a lot cheaper than some of the other metropolitan areas. So we did a video on doing business in Cayuga County and the affordability of that. We also have a number of quality of life videos for talent attraction, as well as when businesses are looking to come to an area, they want to know that they want to be here. Business owners want to know that they want to live in the community they're going to. So we do have some quality of life pieces. And so video production has been really important with social media being the way it is these days. There's a lot of online content, and video tends to get more engagement than just text or posts or articles. So we put a lot of effort into that. We're continuing to do that. Our next step is we're going to do a project on investor profiles. So we're going to take a few businesses throughout the county and create some videos about their story as a business and how they're operating in Cayuga County and their narrative. So that's the next series that we're going to be working on. The next slide is also an example of some of our Google campaigns. Typically we use Google when we're doing attraction work. So this is part of how we're trying to reach businesses outside of Cayuga County and trying to get them to consider Cayuga County as a place to expand their business to. This is challenging. We did do a site retargeting, a search and site retargeting campaign, which is very creepy, but it can be effective. It basically looks at people who have been to your website and then retargets them with ads so that they think about you again. So just getting in front of them multiple times, that's one tactic we tried recently. And we came up again with a campaign around our centralized location, being affordable and being a good place to live and do business. We typically use social media for our local marketing, trying to reach local businesses that we want to be assisting and entrepreneurs. So we also have done a lot of social media campaigns for that purpose. Next is, so moving into the next few years, we have a few specific items we really want to be targeting and working on. Some of those include our attraction strategy. We really want to take the time to do the research we need to do to create that unique value proposition, what really sets us aside from other surrounding communities and other similar communities, and really target the businesses that will succeed here and belong here so that they'll stay here. We have, I included some of that strategy here. This is actually much longer in its internal format, but we would be looking to do a research phase and then move into some very targeted attraction. We're also going to continue expanding our marketing, like the investor profiles that we talked about, the Auburn Place-based branding, which again, doesn't work in a vacuum. It really is a strategy that can support the entire county. And then working more on PR and getting more public relations out there. Also looking to work with our partners more on workforce development and being a liaison between businesses and workforce and training partners. And finally, really expanding our networks in different parts of the county. We know this is something that has been a concern, and we know it's something we need to do better. Coming up here in the next few weeks, we'll be doing office hours in Sterling and Moravia to start having more of a presence in these areas. And we plan to continue to do that if we're finding that it's helpful. But that's really just a first step to start getting us to be in these areas more and start introducing ourselves to businesses more. We had started doing proactive outreach. During COVID, we did pull a list of businesses in the southern and northern part of the counties and do proactive outreach to them. But this is just another step to build those networks, start meeting those businesses and the players in those communities. We'll be in Sterling on October 27th, and we'll be in Moravia on November 10th. And we'll look to continue those types of efforts as well to help expand our networks throughout the county. And I think that's the last of my slides. So that was a very quick overview. I'm happy to answer questions, or if there's additional feedback, I know there's going to be another version of this report that I'm happy to add to.
Does anyone have any questions at this point?
I've got plenty. How much time do I have?
You have one question
That's it?
until everyone else has spoken, yes.
Nobody else wants to speak? Can I have their time too?
Just what's your question?
I have a question.
My question is,
With 37 subdivisions.
I really can't hear you, muffled. But anyways, right now we get a chunk of money from the Oneidas for the gaming.
Mhm.
And that, which funds a lot of your area. Do you know with the COVID, whether or not that's maybe going to be less this year? Or, I mean, we've paid maybe, what have we been in existence for 10 years now, or what are we?
Almost, yeah.
So it's about $4 million that we've maybe put into this project.
I'm not sure it's
And
quite that
I was
much.
one of the founders of that project, so I thought, it was a good idea. Right now, things have changed, with the whole pandemic and with the, bringing back the chain from China. I think there's a lot of great opportunity. Tessie just proved to us that, things are changing quickly. Amazon going in the Syracuse is a big thing.
Yep.
The expansion of our milk plant has probably taken up a lot of the industrial space there. I'd love to be able to put at Exit 40 a project. I just don't know whether or not we're marketing ourselves right. I mean, New York and New Jersey are coming
I'm sorry, Eric, do you have a question or is this a statement?
up.
Because
Probably a little bit of both. Is that,
okay.
I know that sometimes you get on stump and with your questions, but
Yeah, well, but put a question mark at the end of something, and then, so it's because I know Trish had a question too.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know we were under a time constraint. But anyways, do we have any plans other than this to maybe develop at Exit 40? And, you know, actually buy dirt and put in an infrastructure so that if we do have a Google or an Amazon or somebody else that might want to create jobs, do we have any futuristic plans to develop Exit 40?
There is some interest in doing that. I think there's some logistics that need to be worked out. There have been conversations about trying to acquire that land, and agreements have not been able to be made between the parties. So it is definitely one of the properties that we actively promote when we're talking to attraction projects because of its location. You know, the IDA has also had conversations about that property, but to date have not been able to come to terms on the property. So I think there are some steps that still need to happen, but it definitely has a lot of potential. And it is certainly one of the sites that is highly developable and highly attractive due to its proximity to the thruway, rail, the canal. There's a lot of opportunity there, so there is interest in doing that work. There's just some logistics that need to be addressed.
And with the large solar project that we have in Conquest, there's going to be plenty of energy, which is a lot of different major industries like green energy, and they will settle where there is a lot of abundance of green energy. So I think we should get busy and develop that.
Oh yeah, we're plenty busy. It's on the list.
So Trish, you had a question, I think?
Yeah, I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit about how, in your marketing and attraction strategies, do you guys look at the wage rates and the living wage opportunities that will come to the community?
Yeah, that's always part of the conversation. In terms of marketing, it's something that we tend to include in packages to businesses in terms of here's what you can expect to pay for labor here versus maybe some of our competing markets, and how that might make us a more affordable option depending on what other markets you're looking at. But when we're also looking at projects from an IDA perspective, it's something that is considered in terms of, okay, how many jobs are they creating and what's the average payroll? And what kinds of jobs are those? Are they living wage jobs? Are they jobs that are good for the community? It's not that any job is a bad job, but that's definitely something that is taken into consideration with incentives and making sure that we're looking for those jobs that are going to support the community. I mean, we like all jobs,
Absolutely.
but it's certainly
limited resources and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's certainly something that is considered both on the marketing side and talking about the affordability of our location, as well as the incentive side and making sure that we're incentivizing good paying jobs. Did that answer your question?
Yeah,
Kind of?
yep,
Okay.
I guess so. Thank you.
Other questions?
We can talk more about it.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, how many businesses have we attracted from out of state or out of county, for instance, as a breakdown compared to your numbers?
So some of the projects that were attracted, this might have actually been in the prior contract year, but like Grover came from Canada. We brought in I'd have to look at our prospects. A lot of the solar development right now is from out of the area. Grover came in from Canada. I'm sorry, what was that?
Kevin Ellis helped bring in.
Yep. That was definitely an attractive component of our location. I'd have to look at the list of the projects.
So we may ask
Yeah. I can include
there's
that
going to
in the
be a
report.
final report. You know, we've gotten the initial draft, and at least my thinking is any questions that come up here tonight, then we would ask, we would ask that those be added to that final report. Because there may be, then this is one, there may be questions that arise that Tracy doesn't know off the top of her head, but certainly is a legitimate inquiry. So if we can ask her to include that.
Because what I will say is that a lot of these projects are actually expansion of local businesses, which is why we really need to focus on our attraction strategy and make sure that we're creating a more successful and a better pitch for that attraction. So to your point, like I do think a lot of this is actually business expansion. I can pull out what is attraction, but that's part of the reason for refocusing and doing the research we need to be able to do that work more effectively.
Mr. Foley?
Yeah, just quickly, I remember when Andrew Fish was here, predecessor, and one of the things that he mentioned was that he thought CETA's budget was kind of limited, and that it couldn't do everything that the legislature would like it to do. And it kind of had a pick between maybe outreach and soliciting business as opposed to focusing on retaining business in Cayuga County, and maybe helping with small expansions or maybe expansions. I mean, is that strategy still the same, or are you trying to become more of a catch-all? You know, I mean, your budget has been cut over the years, and so there's only so much you can do, and I'm wondering what direction you guys are going in.
Yeah, so I think that kind of plays into this attraction piece, is that attraction work can be very expensive. And so as we develop that strategy, we're going to do the best we can to try to find strategies that are within our budget, but we are certainly limited. Like we are planning to start attending at least one trade show a year once travel is a thing again, and, you know, try to leverage some of the work we're doing now, but it is limiting. You know, the amount of travel we can do is limited. The amount of marketing we can do at that level to reach the right people is somewhat limited. So just getting in front of the right people is somewhat restricted by the availability of funds. We're trying to be a catch-all, but it's definitely much more effective at where we are to work on business retention. It's a much more affordable thing to work on and focus on. So that I think is a component of why our attraction strategy still needs some buffering, is we need some good data. We need to be able to travel. We need to be able to do that extensive marketing. And we are somewhat limited in being able to do that.
Thank you. Before Mr. Ladder, does anyone else have a question? Yes.
So I was looking at a little bit of the report earlier. On page 13, I think you're roughly 134,000 left in reserves, somewhere in there, 140,
Yeah, I'm projecting a little bit, but I'm thinking it'll be about 140,
which would give you 5 to 6 months. You would
4 to
say?
5.
4 to 5 months.
Yep.
And so based on, you know, if things don't turn around real quickly or into the spring of next year, your budget will be built somewhere in between that and your normal operating. I mean, will it be less, thinking that limited travel and some of the expensive part of it maybe, or where are you going with the budget?
So we're looking at multiple scenarios. If we're not able to travel, there's certainly more that we can do in marketing and research. So we're building a budget based on a few scenarios as to what will be successful for us, and what will help to build those programs that we're currently not able to build. So, you know, what the level to which we're able to do that is going to depend on where we land in the budget.
Thank you.
Mr. Ladder?
In regards to attraction and strategy, I've said, I know the chairman was associated with one of our great learning institutions, our college here, but I still think that we should reach out, and I've spoken to a couple political people in the north about, you know, having Clarkston, Rochester, Syracuse with the great learning institutions that they have, in Cornell, and market us as the diamond. You know, we educate the world. Things are moving quickly in regards to the supply chain, so we should brand ourselves and get that marketed with the whole area, not just Cayuga County.
Yeah, that's always part of the conversation when we're doing attraction work. Constantly, it's workforce and it's education and training, and talking about Rochester, Syracuse, Ithaca, and everything in between. That is always part of the pitch. It's part of the information on our website. With every attraction proposal, we include lists of relevant universities and colleges and relevant programs to that particular business. So it's always part of that conversation. But we can certainly, that's just certainly something that we're talking about in terms of the brand.
Trish, you had another question?
I have just a quick comment that your attraction strategy to target businesses that belong here, I think is great. And looking at the growth that's happened in our county, especially with ag economic development, I think there's a ton of potential there. And I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit about what you see for the future with regard to that.
Yeah, so you might have seen in the report talking about supply chain analysis and using that as a tool of targeting specific businesses that make sense for our community. And really the point there is to look at what do we have now, where are the gaps, and we can get to this qualitatively. It's just being able to quantify what is that gap in our community is a huge selling point to a business that's looking for a customer base. So if we can say, $5 million a year in this particular product is leaving our community, that's a market for you. That's a much more attractive pitch than like, okay, 2 businesses told us that they're not able to find this locally. So that's a piece of that research that would be really helpful because we can look at the ag supply chain, we can look at the manufacturing supply chain and see where those opportunities are and quantify those opportunities, which is something we cannot do now. We only have qualitative information. And we've talked about that economic gardening approach of looking at supply chains, and we just haven't been able to leverage that because we didn't have the right information. So that's really part of the strategy too, that we're somewhat limited in what we can do because it's not free to do that type of research. So I think there are a lot of opportunities in those supply chains. It's just really pinpointing where those opportunities lie and what types of businesses are going to be the most successful targets for us. And that's really where we're trying to hone in with this new strategy. Because we want businesses that are going to stay here and feel like they belong here. And, if you attract someone that has no customers or no peers, they might not in a few years realize that this is what is helpful to them. So really starting in those areas where they have local connections is going to be important because that will create that base for them that will encourage them to stay. Not just come, but stay.
Thanks.
Okay, any other questions for now? See, we do have an executive session later, which we'll talk about some of the negotiating points on the contract. So we'll have an opportunity to revisit this just among ourselves. But thank you very much.
Thank you.
So Steve, I saw you were there earlier. Are you still with us?
I am. Yes, I am.
So we have your report in front of us. Anything you'd like to add or highlight?
I'll just highlight in my report that we are going to have the watershed rules and regulations joint meeting of the town of Owasco and the city of Auburn on October 29th at 5 p.m. Because of certain technical challenges, we're going to be holding it at City Hall and not at the Emerson Pavilion. So I will be sending out invitations and information broadly on that, working on that today. So I just wanted to make that clarification that the venue has shifted to Auburn City Hall. It'll be live streamed via teleconference, allowing people to participate remotely. Also, the Sterling Nature Center project, which is one of the resolutions that's on tonight for seeker and for authorization to bid and award bid if it's within budget. We just got the 90% drawings today from Beardsley, and we'll be reviewing them over the next week or so just to make sure that we're in the right direction and we're trying to keep it within budget. Those are the highlights I would share with you right now, Mr. Chairman.
May I ask a question about the watershed things? I assume if it's going to be at City Hall, that space is very limited.
That's correct.
So then any of us who plan to attend that should plan on doing it virtually. Is that correct?
I believe that's correct. The actual difference between what we could fit in City Hall and what we could fit in another venue is about 20 people. The city clerk has said that we could probably fit 30 people in City Hall with the appropriate distancing. So that doesn't mean it's going to be very limited seating.
Yeah, okay. So great, so thank you. And that Zoom, or I think they use Zoom probably instead of 8x8, but whatever, the virtual connection, how do we get, will you share information, that information with us?
Absolutely. It'll not only be on the project website, I will be sending out notices to the legislators and other stakeholders, of course, and I will include the link to the website where that hyperlink will be.
Okay, thank you. And
You're
I think Mr. Peaches had a question.
Hi, Steve. I just wanted you to, if you could, I was excited to see in section number 7 that the rewatering of the Old Erie Canal is moving into phase 1 for flood analysis. And it looks like that's going to be done by the end of the year or the beginning of next year. I was just wondering if you could sort of, if you're able to concisely explain phase 1 and how that sets us up for future development in the rewatering of the canal.
Sure. Phase 1 is a flood analysis. And basically, it's not only how do you keep things from flooding, how do you, if you rewater that portion of the canal for recreational uses so that it's an asset to the community, how do you keep water in it during the dry periods? A big component of the engineering of the original canal was how to move water into the canal to keep it floating, so to speak. So this is a flood analysis. So the technical engineers will be taking a look at the area which goes from Port Byron, Shazzle Park to the aqueduct in the town of Brutus outside of Weedsport. And they'll be looking at that whole system and what obstructions and what things can be done to either not make any flooding worse and maybe even alleviate some of the flooding that has happened recently, and certainly how to keep water in it. So that's the first analysis. If that comes out that with certain mitigations, whether they be small dams or connections to the broader water systems and brooks that feed the canal, that can be taken care of so that we can have that functioning properly, then we will move on to the design phase, which is the bulk of the funding for the grant. And that will be both design of the mitigation measures, whether that's a dam or connections, but also the design of pedestrian amenities and so on and so forth, trail connections and that kind of thing. So that's kind of the the go, no-go quality of that project. And by the way, I think I mentioned it, we had our project kickoff meeting today on that with the team.
Thank you. Mr. Lattimore.
Steve, under number 4, under the Power Agency, I know that the meeting I was on conference or Zoom, I had indicated that, you know, for the $80,000 that we're spending with our hometown, that we come up with rates and regulations. Have they come up with any rates and regulations or bylaws?
Yeah, so in this project, they were going to come up with rates and regulations for whatever the strategic direction that was recommended for Kapusa and that the board was going to follow. They don't necessarily need rates and regulations for a community choice aggregation project, which is the proposed recommendation. They did outline very briefly the steps that you might have to go to arrive at rules and rates and regulations. So that's where we're at. As you know, we have a meeting next Wednesday, the 20th, Tuesday, I believe it is, Tuesday the 20th at 3 p.m. To look at the final draft.
Well, I'm disappointed that we don't have those because, you know, we're gonna have one of the biggest solar projects in upstate New York. And it would be nice to have those rules and regs that go along with that project. Not that we're involved with it, it's the governor's project, but it would be nice to have that.
So perhaps it doesn't make sense to have that maybe next meeting, maybe after. But if everyone was ready, have sense to ask for a real quick overview summary of what happened with the strategic planning with Kapusa.
That would be great.
We
So,
have
Steve,
somebody from there present.
I'll follow up with you, Steve, on that.
Yes, thank you.
But don't let me forget. I'm older than you.
I won't let you forget.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions or comments, Trish?
Hi, Steve. This is Trish. I saw recently that Finger Lakes Land Trust purchased some land in the flats, and I was wondering if your office is involved in that at all, or if you're aware, is there a bigger plan for future land acquisitions in that area from those land trust partners?
The land trust, of course, we work closely with the land trust on all of their initiatives. So we've supported that, and that's a very good purchase for the land trust. Also, the state DEC is interested in acquiring more land in flats for conservation purposes. So as you know, and as my report states, we're in the final of completing construction of the third created wetland basin in the Owasco Flats, and are always, ready to work with our partners to, do any other work down there that can add to water quality in the lake.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
I just want to congratulate Bruce and Natalie on his retirement.
Yes.
Definitely.
30 years.
So, yeah, Bruce's last day is this month.
Bruce's last day is technically October 31st. I believe his last day in the office will be the 29th. And as I said in my report, it's very hard to replace that kind of institutional knowledge of the county and its resources, but he'll be greatly missed.
Yes, he will. Great. Okay, thank you. Anything else? Okay, so thank you very much, Steve.
You're welcome, Mr. Chairman. Should we go on to the resolution at this point?
Yes, why don't we? So, in fact, I think that is our only resolution.
It is.
So let's have a motion.
Move it.
Second.
Motion and seconds. Anyone have any questions about this? Is that this resolution has to do with the Sterling project, seeker and accepting bids if they come in, we get that point and they come in and budget. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good, it's carried. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Okay, and excuse me, Kelly King, I think I saw you virtually.
I'm here.
So we have your report. Do you have anything to highlight or add?
I do. I have a few things I want to quickly add. It sounds so late to be saying that we've wrapped up the summer program, but the TANF summer program goes through the end of September, and I can't believe we're already in October, but I feel great success because considering COVID and us not being able to run the program in the beginning, serving half of the number of youth that we were able to serve in such a short window when we found out that we were able to get our allocation, we were allocated about $180,000, and we were able to spend $135,000 of our allocation, which is pretty amazing considering what we were working through and only serving 31 youth versus the 70 plus that we have in years past. So we spent more than I expected, and I was very happy with the outcome. I think the reason we were able to do that is increasing the wage but also the education incentives, which was new to the TANF program. So we spent over $13,000 overall in incentives. So we're very pleased with the wrap up of the summer program. Another thing I want to add, we're really focusing on building our WIOA Youth Year-Round program. That has been something that we've kind of always struggled with involvement with youth, capturing youth that we can serve under WIOA. The Workforce Board just approved a new policy, and I think this is going to really help us to really boost up the year-round program. We're doing a goal attainment incentive program, and that has really, I think it's going to entice some of the youth and it's going to help them. So just for an example, real quick, if a youth in our program earns their high school diploma or high school equivalency, they're going to get $400 for doing that and achieving that goal. If they complete a workforce learning activity or some sort of work experience, OJT internship, they'll earn $200. Completion of career zone portfolio. So part of what we do here is we can set customers, adults, youth, dislocated workers through career zone, and it kind of helps them map out their plan, work on their resume, all sorts of job searching tools. If the youth develop a portfolio, they'll gain $100. Also, if they find employment, they gain $100. If they keep employment for 6 months, they will earn $200. And then if they earn a credential, a post-secondary credential, they'll earn $200. And then what's amazing is if they retain employment after exit. So we track our job seekers to see that they have successfully kept employment steadily through quarters. In the end of the fourth quarter, they have the potential ability to earn $1,000 to keep their job. So we essentially track our customers, youth and adults, for a good year after they exit. And with the youth now, they'll gain an incentive to have, successfully entered the workforce. So we're pretty excited about that. Currently, actually today, the Workforce Development Board, they're writing a press release to go out for Cayuga County, the Career Center for Employment and Training, letting the public know we have been open for appointments, but we have not necessarily put out a press release to advertise for that, and that is something that the board has drafted. I sent the draft to Aileen for approval. We're making some changes, and I've asked to see it again before it actually goes out to the press. I think that that's going to be a good thing because we want more activity. We want more job seekers to come through the door. Even though we've served them virtually very successfully, I think that the face-to-face contact is going to be good for them. Department of Labor has not returned. The newest word is they probably won't return until after the new year, potentially longer. So we're essentially operating the Career Center with 5 employment and training staff. So it's going to be a challenge when we do open full on to the public, but we will navigate that. We're working with the college in terms of security and just, the check-in process and just the basics in terms of the college itself. So that is something that's in the works right now, and I think that's going to be good for our traffic. The last thing I guess I want to highlight quickly, a success story. A lot of people don't know what we necessarily do in employment and training, and I want to kind of paint a picture of something that I'm excited has happened over the course of the last year and then more recently within the last month, just to kind of show how we evolve and how people evolve with us when they come to us. We had a safety net individual referred to us through DSS about a year ago. Individual was homeless. He did not have a high school equivalency. He was young. He was on his own. We started serving him as a safety net. We put him through soft skills training, job readiness training. We then referred him to our year-round WIOA youth program. When he went off of benefits at that point, no more temporary assistance through DSS, no more services. Once we placed him in a work experience, we were able to really work with this person on gaining skills and creating a really good resume. Just within the last few weeks, he came in, we met with him in person, we updated his resume, we helped him with some interviewing, and he was hired at Tessie Plastics making $22.50 an hour. During the time that we worked with him, he was homeless, he found a place to live, he earned his high school equivalency, he went into a work experience supervised by us, and then he entered employment at Tessie. So I just kind of want to show how the cycle can go. He made full circle with us, and that's a success story that I just wanted to highlight tonight. I'm very happy and proud of that. The staff worked really hard with this person to overcome a lot of his barriers. So I just wanted to kind of give you a snapshot of what employment and training can do for people, and that's something that we're pretty proud of right now. But other than that, I don't have anything else to highlight.
Yeah, thank God for Tessie. The goose that lays the golden egg is that manufacturing, and hopefully that'll just keep growing.
I agree. We've had several people go to work at Tessie. The wage is high. They've been hiring some lower, I don't want to say lower skilled, but they're very open to training people, and I've seen a lot of success with some of our customers there.
Give me an update on TRW and their employees. Are we retraining them to maybe go to Tessie? And
so we have, I can update you in terms of, TRW is BCS, and they're still working full time. They have not reduced the workforce at this point, and they won't until the end of the year. At that point, the rapid response team, that includes myself, will continue to do outreach and absolutely assist the job seekers in terms of all areas. I mean, Tessie especially. I've reached out to Tessie a few times to promote OJT. They have not really shown an interest. They're hiring people and training them, but I wanted to offer that incentive, for them to hire some people that they might have been on the fence about. But no, absolutely, we'll be working with BCS in the near future. We're going to probably be teaming up with BCS themselves and the rapid response team through Department of Labor Business Services to do some virtual job fairs and obviously some job readiness and resume, prep, and make sure that they have all the tools they need when they do separate.
Yeah, I mean, Tessie started in Weedsport. It would have been nice if we had a nice industrial site there instead of having them move to Onondaga County. Anyways, thank you.
Okay, any
You're
other questions?
welcome.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. King. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, the Tracy, I guess that you don't need to add anything to your report, right?
If you have any other questions, I'm still here. But...
Yeah. Are there any questions about the monthly report? Okay.
I was just wondering how your workshop went of doing business with New York State. Did you have a lot of people that were interested in that?
We had about 15 registered, about 8 came to the webinars, but we do have videos, so we can actually utilize that workshop for the future if there's someone who's interested in that process. And the OGS trainers are very interested in staying engaged with these businesses, so they've shared their contact information. And so I was hoping to have a bigger response, but at the same time, there's content there that we can continue to use into the future. And the people who took it thought it was very helpful and took a lot of information. It's a lot though. It's very overwhelming. So
It's great that you put that. Yeah, definitely. Good workshop, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Hopefully it'll help into the future.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Tracy. So Doug, Stormwater?
Good evening, everybody. I'll come over here by the microphone. Sorry, Paul, if I'm going to be yelling in your ear a
You're
little
fine.
bit. But all right, so I did submit the report. We're just right now, in addition to the report, we're just trying to wrap up a few projects, take care of the dry conditions. I mean, it has, even though it's raining, the streams or the seasonal trips aren't really pulling any water, so it's been awesome. The downside of that is if you try and do some soil sampling and soil tests that we use for the planning for the winter, it's very hard getting a probe in the ground right now. So we went out the other day to try and do some of that, and didn't go so well. So we're going to wait for a little bit more rain this weekend to try and soak the ground a little bit, like concrete out there. So other than looking forward to this weekend's last event, working with Extension in the planning department for the household hazardous waste collection, we're just continuing to take advantage of the good weather. So we're busier than ever.
Questions? Ms. Lattimore?
Doug, if we used all the monies for the Dutch Hollow,
Oh, yeah, certainly.
it said, I mean, the stream bed is dry. I mean, is there any other work that has to be done on the?
There's always
Dutch Hollow?
work to be done in the streams. The funding that we received at that point, yeah, that got spent a few years ago. And
So there's no other funding coming or we
The-
applied for?
The state didn't put out the WQIP this year, the Water Quality Improvement Program. Usually that's where we get a lot of stream funding. We do have some money left in the coffer that we're trying to wrap up some of these projects, and as projects come along, we would certainly look at them in Dutch. But we got a lot of projects that we're trying to get off the list right now.
Is there any projects for dredging any part of the lake?
Not that I'm aware of, not that we have. We don't have the funding.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments for stormwater?
Okay.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
All right.
And Dan, our corporate extension?
So, good evening, everybody. One thing I do want to add to my report, especially since Trish is sitting right in front of me that I forgot about, is we work closely with Trish and the Complete Count Committee on sending a mailing to all the farms in the county that had information on the census, both in English and Spanish.
Thank you for doing that.
And we work with one of the regional extension specialists, getting some messaging that resonated with some of the farm workers that she works with in Ontario County. On the household hazardous waste, we have just over 400 slots. That'll probably be all full by lunchtime tomorrow. Had good response on that. And then just a quick shameless fundraising plug for 4-H. It is as part of National 4-H Week, Tractor Supply has something they call the Paper Clover campaign. So if anybody needs any supplies for a weekend project, you can get a paper clover for $1, and all that money through the New York State 4-H Foundation comes back to us here, and we use that to help support 4-Hers who want to go on some of the statewide trips or do a statewide conference. Any questions?
Any questions for Dan?
Just real quick, I hadn't heard of this program, the prescription program. Where's that funding, I guess, come from? And is it ongoing? Like, can you just talk a little more about it?
Okay, yeah. So the fruit and vegetable prescription program. Yeah, so that's part of our supplemental nutrition assistance program education grant, which is federal dollars. And they've done it they actually did it last year. In our region that started in Monroe County, and now we're doing that here. So we've run classes, I think 7, now it's up to 25 have done that, and we're going to be working with East Hill Medical to run some classes here in Auburn on that. What's neat about that project is it ties together some education on healthy eating habits, but then has an economic development component for our farmers and our farm stands because they get the vouchers to use for fresh fruits and vegetables.
So it's a seasonal program then, Dan? Or?
Well, right now, traditionally, it's been a seasonal program. One of the things that a nutrition educator working with her regional team is looking at is how do we make that year round? So if there's, there's a little bit of work that the stores have to do. So Ed and Jeans has been mentioned in Port Byron. If anybody has any suggestions here in the city and maybe the smaller markets that might be interested in that, would be happy to hear about that. Look at what, maybe is that a big M in Moravia still?
No.
It's a,
It's a
or
modern-
Sherfa.
modern market.
Modern market.
Yes, modern.
Very modern. So we do want to look at some of those opportunities to make it a year-round program.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thanks a lot. Any other questions? Okay, thanks, Ann. Okay. And last but not least, Karen Swell from Tourism.
Closing out the day for you. Well, the report is pretty much all inclusive, but there are a couple things I wanted to point out. One of the e-correspondences that we have is called Google, My Business Tips. We're trying to help our partners position themselves properly and better by identifying ways that they can highlight their businesses while people are traveling the area. People are traveling very differently. And instead of planning ahead, they're here because they're our neighbors, the ones that are traveling around. So Google has become a very pivotal point for businesses to highlight themselves. So we've been working and sending them different little tips for them to do the work on their own to highlight their own listing. So we have a series that goes on, and it's not only Google, but social media and everything. So we've been trying to strengthen their offering by helping them with that. The other initiative that we've been working hard on is friends and family. We've been looking for ambassadors within our own county to tell their own story about their hometown. We have highlighted Weedsport and Fairhaven so far. We have one from Moravia coming up, and Auburn one, and Aurora one. So we're looking for residents of the area to talk about the hidden secrets, the special coffee shops, the places that we like to go, so that they not only increase pride within themselves and their area, in order to invite their friends and relatives to come visit us. And because that's a primary travel that's going around right now. So we want our residents to say, hey, instead of me going to visit you up in Buffalo, why don't you guys come down here? We have all these great things to do. So we're trying to encourage that kind of business because it's safe for our residents, because we're approaching an area that's a lot smaller in outreach, and we're developing pride. And for us, for the future, when we are able to target areas outside, we're getting great content because we're hearing about the special places that we're going to. So not only are we encouraging them, but we want to encourage you. Every person that I can touch within the county to tell the same message, the better off our businesses will be. And the last thing, once again, is that we're trying to raise economic development in Cayuga County from within our region. It's the same thing. One of the big campaigns that we're going to have going on for that is called We're Brave Women Winter. That happens during the winter months because of the months that our businesses suffer the most historically, and especially this year, that they're entering their low season, having already consumed their whole budget, their whole cushion of their budget, right? So working hard within the region, we have this program, We're Brave Women Winter, that we collaborate with Seneca and Ontario County primarily. So we're highlighting women business owners. And the concept is by highlighting Sue from Regenerations as a business owner in Auburn, and then highlighting Monica from Naples with Monica's Pies. Monica finds out about Sue. Sue finds out about Monica. Monica tells her friends. They come and visit. So it's a very simple, easy way of getting businesses to know themselves and increase economic development in our area through reaching out to our neighbors. Same thing with friends and family, but going through the businesses. So these are some of the initiatives that we have going on.
Great, thank you. Questions? Okay.
With the pandemic, the bed tax, which supports a lot of your efforts, do we know yet what you're anticipating? Decreases?
For 2021, we made a budget request of $450,000. I went back through historically equivalent to the budget we had in 2013. We are fully funded from the bed tax, so we are dependent on people coming. Unfortunately, these efforts that I'm talking about that help economic development in our region and help our businesses are not normally people that are going to spend the money. So it's a double-edged sword, but my job and responsibility is not only to the hotels that fund me, but it's all to all the tourism businesses. So to your point, yes, our budget has been drastically hit, but we have become very creative in the way we've been reaching out. We have cut back our budget severely in lots of different areas, but have maintained the way that we can work and do the outreach. Some of these projects that I've mentioned are very economical to work on, but they're done by sweat and tears of the staff.
The pet tax is the only tax I've ever liked because other people pay it, not our people. The, we had a regional, meeting with all the different, tourism boards here at one time. I like that because we got exposure.
What we, oh yeah, the NICEA meeting, we brought NICEA, which is New York State, it's not just the region. The New York State Tourism Industry Alliance came and had their annual meeting here at the Holiday Inn last year. It was great, we got a lot of exposure, and a lot of people are more aware of the product we have here. We did tours through the Seward Equal Rights Heritage Center, promoted people to go to the Tubman. We did a tour to Isso's Barn, and then we went to Port Byron. So we did take these people around our area within as much as we could to expose them of our offer. But as far as regional, we are part of the Finger Lakes Regional Tourism Council. The Finger Lakes Regional Tourism Council has the 14 counties that make up the tourism district of New York State. Through that council, we come up with ideas to support ourselves and support the region in general, and come up with ways of positioning the Finger Lakes as the key tourism destination within the state.
Well, you heard me talk about the diamond shape with Jefferson, with Clarkston and Oswego, and I'd like to see maybe you put that together.
For the education aspect?
Well,
That
just-
triangle,
And the diamond shape,
that diamond, yeah.
yeah, and brand us so that we know we have education, we have water, we have everything.
We do target to the education market, but not as much as we target to the leisure travel, right? Because, well, there's lots of different factors involved in it. But leisure travel is our primary target that we go after, and they travel for lots of different things. Friends and family goes into the education because if the students are in the area, then they work on here. But we work with Tompkins County, Oswego is part of the Central, which is not part of our tourism district, but we still have a lot of joint programs with them. With Oswego, Ontario, Wayne, Monroe, we have fishing programs that we do together. So yeah, I am very big
Good.
into regional collaboration because it's the way for us to stand out.
Thank you.
Great. Any other questions or comments? Great. Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, we do need a, what I hope is a short executive session, but nonetheless, we need one. So could I have a motion for executive session?
Move it.
Second?
Second?
Second. Okay. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Sneak out.
So we'll
Check
go
out.
over to caucus room
Sure.
one, I think, right? Brittany? Yeah.
Yeah.
And Chris Peters has to go. So I will talk with you later.
Oh,
So,
Yeah. Sounds like it.
I'll give you a call. I'll give you a call.
okay.
Tell you what happened.
Very good. Thank you.
Hello?
Yeah, you did, yeah. Did Lloyd ever call you back?
He's been busy.
I have. You haven't called him back?
He was spending some time looking at the waterfront.
No, I haven't spent any time.
Shaker told me you were there all weekend, so he blew you in today.
No, I was down there.
I get my Wednesday report up to Ann's Diner.
By myself.
Huh?
Stayed there overnight.
Yeah, that's what he said. Great.
Excellent.
Beautiful time of year anyways.
Oh, it's good, everything.
Is brother Stan been out to look at the water? Brother Stan been out to look at the water?
No, he hasn't been down.
Yeah.
It's a new director from the swing.
All right. Oh, thank you. How are you?
I thought you were saying you would add to that.
All right. Okay. We're in overtime. Normally planning goes real fast.
That's what Ryan told me this morning.
We hooked you good.
I'm a little suspect right now.
I told him to come about 5:30 because it'll go by quick.
Exactly. Yes. But he didn't warn you about Keith either, though, did he?
Who?
Who, you and the owl, Keith?
We know. You got.
Hi, guys.
Are we?
Do you have who, first and second to come out of session?
Yeah. So could I have a motion to adjourn the planning meeting?
We
I'll move it.
asked who was the first and second on the.
Oh, okay, we've done that? We've done it?
The executive?
Yeah, coming out.
It was,
Yeah.
Foley and, Keith.
Did you get that, Sid?
Yep, yep.
So now can I have a motion to adjourn?
Move it.
Second.
Move the second, all in favor?
All in favor, aye.
We're adjourned.
Okay,
Thank you.
like the barber shop. Next.
So Hans, are we going immediately into this or can I go to the men's
I
room?
don't know if we got a quorum, do we?
I'm here.
I'm gonna run to the men's room then.
Don't make it long. You're not on the list.
Yeah, Keith, Elaine's here.
Is Tucker online?
Tucker online?
There's
No.
no quorum, Rich.
I don't see Tucker.
No.
Then you get booked.
Heidi's not gonna show up, is Didio gonna show up? Rick is-
I didn't hear, I didn't think Tucker might be, but I thought Mike Didio was, I thought.
He was earlier, but
Maybe he gave up.
might have been next.
No, he could have three.
Yeah, Mike Diddy was not on.
Let me call.
Yeah.
Yeah, call.
Did you call
Probably,
in?
he probably ended the call to try to get on the executive session. So maybe he's trying to get back on.
Computer.
Hey, can you sign on for judicial? You've been doing it by the phone?
My nephew.
This password's not working. Hold on, I'm just relaying the message.
Maybe he can call in with his phone.
Yeah, He can call in on the phone.
Right.
Yeah. So it would just be the same one that he got on before with.
Can you get on, can you do this, can you do the same thing again?
Excellent.
Yeah, they need you for a quorum, yeah. Okay, give it a try. Yeah. Well, we went into executive session, so it might have been Yeah, well, that's, we just get out, so if you can call, that'd be fantastic. Thank you.
So they're
One
calling in.
idea.
I'll try. Don't tax me.
People want.
All you ought to do is invite the professor from Harvard to come down and see what he's working on.
We're talking about testing now again?
No.
Oh.
We're talking about Harvard.
What about Harvard?
Chris.
Chris Rao. But we're now talking
We
back
wanna
on
talk-
COVID. Or
We want to bring John and John Nash and him, two Albernians, maybe. See what they're doing. It's big, isn't it?
Did you do a MRI?
Yeah. I was there.
Almost under a lot of stress. Oh, I feel tense.
No.
That helps a lot.
Are you going to Y? Are you back to the Y?
Okay.
Walk right in the with your mask on?
The door open.
I started getting.
He gives me a scoop on you. Checker.
Where was he?
Ian Stein.
Oh, yeah.
I go there on Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
Just to break it up.
I took him down there yesterday.
Oh, yeah, yeah. He said.
I want him to.
I'm
look
just
at
waiting for him to. sign the
Fireworks.
paper, so he's gonna drop it off for me.
So I don't want to burn
With the
it.
documents.
Right. Propane?
No, I.
I'm trying to get.
No,
Service.
and that's something that I'm really well aware of from watching.
Says, no, we don't service it, but they got Slocum right next door.
So Paul, what's going on? Video's trying to get online or?
He's trying to call, or he's attempting to call.
Mike Didio, otherwise we don't have a quorum.
Well, we can do everything except take votes. We can,
Call him and
we can get
put him on speaker.
reports.
I was gonna say, could you use your cell phone?
You can't just call in by cell phone anymore.
I think so.
No reason we couldn't, I don't
You
think.
used to be able to,
Just call
Chris.
him and put him on his cell phone, correct?
Yeah, does he have the number? I'll look in the invitation, and see if it's, because I know that if you don't have your 8x8 updated, you can't do it.
Really?
Well, we make it.
No, I don't know about the phone call. I mean, connect through this,
You
right?
can't. No, it's a question, really. I thought the difference it made was the initiating, so you can't even connect.
I don't think so. You can't, you had to
Why would that be?
upgrade.
It's web-based.
Unplugged from my office.
It's what?
I said I have not been able to connect to 8x8 since I unplugged from.
Right.
But if I send you a meeting request, all you gotta do is cut and paste the web address and put that in your browser. You don't even have to have 8x8.
Just send him an invite too, so.
As I suggest, you think he can cut and paste and put in his browser?
Huh,
General with us
really?
today. It's been.
I have the phone number.
8x8
You have
was
that?
sorting it got bounced off. and then-
Hey, Mike,
Wow, I
look
didn't
in
know.
your email, there was an invite just sent to you.
But I'm just saying. can he call?
Or we just call him himself.
Okay, you're calling it right now?
Yeah, he should-
He's calling the number right now.
The 1209.
1209
844.
844, yeah, 4600.
Yep.
All right. All right, give it a wheel. Thank you, sir.
Well, this should get 8x8 for you.
What's that?
This should get 8x8.
Yeah. Yeah. Communicate. You watch any of the hearings?
No, but I can't stand those things. I never watched any of them.
He knows he's got to put the code in.
Really?
He's got to put the code in. He knows that.
Once in a lifetime
Yeah, exactly.
It's pretty good sometimes.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
send
no,
him an
it's kind of
additional.
like- I always think it's like the first- What's
But
happening in the world?
if you didn't upgrade the 8x8 icon,
It was.
we had to upgrade our 8x8 icon.
Well, I can reset all things and all
So-
of them should have been updated by now.
All themselves without doing any work.
There's a lot of people
I had
depending on
to
us.
get called the help desk.
Maybe from the tax.
It's happened. They not gonna call in.
Real estate market.
You called in before?
Pretty hot right now, which is.
He was on the other meeting?
Yeah.
They can move the businesses up.
But then he got off.
We get that property and
What's that?
figure it out.
What's that?
No, Elaine, why don't you just put them on your self speak?
Put him on my,
Let's have a little order here.
okay.
Think it's time to send some people home, so, just, I think everything would be legal except passing the resolutions, wouldn't it? Reports can be
You
given,
can have discussions, but you're right,
can't pass anything. But, as far as reports, we can start on those and see whoever signs on.
It's a good idea. Thank you.
Okay, what we got? We'll do the local people. Lloyd Hoskins is here. Lloyd?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You have my written report.
Yes.
The only concern I have tonight is with the cap. I think in prior months, the sheriff and I have indicated that the in-person arraignments at the public safety building last month, we're in the 80s. This month, we're at 64. My concern is that the number of bench warrants that are being issued, there's about 55% of those 64 arraignments. We're just on bench warrants. So what we're doing is we're bringing in a judge in person, we're bringing in a defense attorney in person, and we're bringing in a defendant on a bench warrant, a harassment second or an AUO third, a bench warrant. We're bringing them in at 7 o'clock at night or 7 in the morning. We've got the judge there, we got a defense attorney there, and then we're releasing the defendant because we can't hold them. We're giving them another appearance ticket, and then they don't show up to court. Everybody's doing their job. Law enforcement's doing their job. The courts are doing their job. But I fear this winter, we all know what the winters are like in Cayuga County. At 7 a.m., when we bring a judge in from Moravia or Locke, and we bring an attorney in from Weeksfort for a 7 a.m. arraignment, only to release a defendant on a bench warrant, is absolutely ludicrous, and I think we're putting people at risk. So I'm very concerned with the trend. I've begun to set up some meetings with Judge Thurston in City Court and with Judge Garland. That's where the majority of them are coming from, is City Court, to try to address what we do. I don't have an answer to it, but to me, it's a big concern of risk of the judges, of the attorneys, and then just to turn the defendants back out on an appearance ticket. Like I said, everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing. It's just that we need to do it more efficiently or differently. I know in Tompkins County, I got today, Brian, over an 8-day period, they had one arraignment in their cap. So we need to make some adjustments. I know we're brand new at it. We're only into it for the 5 months now. So, but we're looking to, I think we need to make some changes. And I don't know what those changes are, but they will be addressed. And lastly, we had put into the state a grant into indigent legal services for $410,000 for 2021. It was approved. This will help with offsetting some of the costs, attorney costs, as well as investigators, psychologists. It's the Harrell Herring settlement suit, so it's not subject to any of the cuts. So we're looking forward to putting that in the 2021 budget as a revenue. So, and that's all I have, Mr. Chairman, unless there's questions.
Any questions?
Did you say a surrounding county of ours is doing far less business than we are?
Far less.
And because why?
I don't know the answer. That's something I'm going to look into. Tompkins County with the city of Ithaca, and also with Canandaigua, with Ontario County with the city of Canandaigua. Their counts are much lower than ours are.
meaning people are not being at the central arraignment. I mean, people are not being, I just, you have no sense of why?
Well, all these, 55% of these arraignments were on bench warrants.
People
And I know
showed and the judge issued a warrant for their arrest?
Right, the defendant didn't show up for court, the
Yep.
judge issued a bench warrant. I know in Ontario County, the police have some discretion on bench warrants to issue another appearance ticket. If it's a harassment second or a AUO third, they can issue another appearance ticket. So I hope to meet with Judge Thurston Garland and, address that issue in terms of the city bench warrants. That's where they're all coming from, most of them.
Any other questions? This sounds like a real problem, so,
We'll get it, we'll solve it.
okay.
Thank you,
I hope so.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Chairman?
Hey, Sherman, you next, please?
Well, let him know he's a quorum. We have a quorum now.
We have,
Yep,
okay.
video's on.
Well, we'll continue then. Harry, please.
We've been working on the hazard mitigation plan. Still handing out PPE to a lot of people. Right now, just to give you a heads up, a lot of the stuff that we received at the beginning of COVID was coming from New York State. That is no longer going to be happening. The state pulled back from that. They're in a recovery mode, not a response mode. It's going to be up to everybody's on their own for ordering supplies. We still have some left in our office, but not much. And once we're out, we're out. That's really all I had to say other than what's on the report. Dale Courier, he started in the office 23rd. He's here. I'll let him speak if you'd like.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for your time this evening. Harry, as you know, sent out the report on the appropriate date. I think I've been here 3 days, so I didn't have much to contribute, but I did today kind of consolidate things that I've been working on for the last 3 weeks. I started 3 weeks ago today. And so I'll provide these if it's okay with the chair. I don't know who's who, so raise your hand.
Thank you.
Hi.
I'm Trish.
Hi, Trish.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Keith? Chairman, you have one?
Thank you, sir.
My pleasure. I think we got enough. I need a bunch. Okay.
So any questions for Mr. Courier?
Not at this point.
Thank
In this brief document, some of the things that Harry mentioned are outlined a little more, give you a little more detail of where we're at, things we're moving forward. One of the biggest things, which has really changed considerably and probably in the last 48 hours, is we're actively working with the health department to work on their inoculation clinic, which leads into their COVID planning and that type of stuff. Because we know it's going to come, just a question of when. And I met with Brian this morning, and he shared with me the times that committees meet, which was very helpful. And so I look forward to working with you all for the time that I'm here. I would invite you, if there's anything you'd like to know, please call the office or stop in. Love to share with you what we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Working with the health department to ensure they have enough PPE or any other of the supplies so that they can proceed with the inoculation clinics. Is that what you're referring to? Or?
Well, actually, we're not providing PPE for that. We're actually providing staff. I'm going to be an evaluator because the clinic is also an exercise as part of one of their grant deliverables.
Oh, their drive-through for flu.
Right.
Okay, yes, I'm sorry.
So
Okay.
I'm going to be an evaluator. Harry's gonna be a patient monitor. And, so we provide services because, emergency management is very much team sport.
Yep.
And there are times that we need help from others, so we try to reciprocate.
Yep, okay, thanks.
Anything else I can add, clarify?
Thanks.
Thank you for your time.
One question I did have was, well, just for Harry's report, was he said that the state reduces the PPE, once it's gone, it's gone. I mean, what does that actually mean in real terms for the county?
Right now, as far as like the state pushing any supplies to us, other than, there's a lot of hand sanitizer, I believe that they're still available. As far as like I know within the county departments, it's up to each individual department to order whatever is needed for your department. So we've been working with Don Carr to get supplies for them.
For your own department or for the county, every county department?
Just for our own department. Every department's supposed to be ordering for themselves now.
And if I may add to that, as COVID kicks back up again, as you're well aware, first round, the state sent all types of PPE, but their position now is, the first response has passed. We're technically in recovery mode, and municipalities, counties, et cetera, have had time to seek their own sources, so not to expect, particularly with the state of the state's budget, not to expect all those types of materials for phase 2.
The chairwoman would like to speak.
Go ahead.
Thanks, Hans. Yeah, I just wanted to echo Harry's statement, and that just to let you folks know, this is where I come in with our ask to the state. I was able to meet with our regional control group today in person in Onondaga County, in Onondaga chambers. So this is, a continued push, but we're definitely working together, and I definitely am working on behalf of the county with my ask. But they definitely have decreased. They did come prepared in the beginning, but now we have to sort of really pound that drum to get what we need. So, but I'll be doing my part just so you are aware of that there are efforts going on. That's all I have.
Any further questions? Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Okay. Jay's online.
Nope, he's right back up.
Oh, okay, there you go.
No updates set forward this month, no real substantial issues for the department to bring before the committee, no resolutions. I just would like to share that the Chairman McNabb Coleman asked me to send out an email to coordinate a meeting of the county's Alternatives to Incarceration Board. I provided her a list earlier this afternoon of people that are required to attend that, as well as some optional people she may wish to invite. These are her options. When she gives me the green light to send that out, I will. I have reserved chambers for Wednesday, October the 28th at 2 p.m. for that meeting. So that's going to be coming out to people who would be interested in attending ATI. The list of people who are required by law to be on our ATI board is about a dozen individuals. So some of you, like Mr. Pesher, are going to be getting an invitation. And then there are some discretionary invitees as well, such as the sheriff. So once the chairman and I, or chairwoman and I, have that cleared up, that'll be coming out to everyone. That's really about all I have.
Any questions for Jay? Thank you, Jay. Sheriff, you want to go next, please?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. I did submit my report. I just have one additional item beyond my report. If you recall, back in March, I had approached your committee to receive support to apply for a victim victim coordinator, victim specialist through the Department of Justice. I was looking for a grant to add that position in partnership with Cayuga Counseling to our agency in-house. And I did recently learn that we did receive that grant. We were awarded that. So we will be working with Cayuga Counseling to bring that victim specialist into our agency. So we're excited about that, and we'll certainly be updating you further. But I don't have anything additional beyond my report unless you have any questions.
Any questions? Anybody? None? Thank you.
So, Mr. Chair, if it's appropriate, I'll move the sheriff's, if it's appropriate, I'll move the sheriff's resolutions as a bundle. If you want to entertain that now.
Yes, please. I'll second it. Any questions for the sheriff on his resolutions? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? No opposition? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, where are we? Adam Duckett, is Adam online?
No.
Nope. Okay.
Denise.
Denise?
Denise.
Denise Spingler, if you want.
911.
911.
Denise
Oh.
Spigler.
Yep, we can move, whatchamacallit, you next, yes.
Whoever you'd like to.
District Attorney, please.
Thank you.
Yeah.
If I could maybe address well, first of all, we are starting back up. The courts are in full swing. They're sort of ending and tapering off some of the remote appearances. We've been doing a kind of a hybrid, 2 in court, 1 online, 2 in court, 1 online kind of thing. We're starting our first felony trial scheduled for Monday, for assault on an Auburn police officer. So we're cooking. The grand jury's been back in full force for a couple months now. I have 3 resolutions on that I'd like to address, and a couple other comments about things coming down the pike. So if I can start with JP 4, our victim witness services coordinator is finishing up this week. So it's a critical position within our office that provides mandated services to victims of crime and witnesses. It also helps our staff. So it's not entirely largely grant funded position. So we'd ask for permission to refill that, which is JP3 is also the authorization to accept the grant that largely funds the position. So I don't know if you want to put those together or you want to do them one at a time.
We'll do them one at a time.
I don't know if there's any questions on either of those or.
Yeah. Let's do JP2.
JP2 is, we talked a month or 2 ago and had some conversations this year about it. The direction or the flavor of the body, I think last time was to come up with a resolution setting the salary at approximately what the prior 2 investigators were earning, which was, this investigator has slightly more experience than them, but so the proposal would be to set it kind of in between the investigator who just left, who was a little bit lower, a couple $100, and then the investigator left a couple of years ago who was approximately $1,000 more, thereabouts. They all have roughly 30 years of high-level police experience. So that would be a JP2 to adjust the salary. You may recall some of the other decisions or discussions we had. I was unaware of the cut of the 12% differential pay. When I hired the person, I told them the salary is approximately this, this is approximately what we're talking about. And it's in line with, I think, what's appropriate for them. We did do a study of other counties, but they're all over the board with what they have differential with overtime, or they have other compensation plans and things. It's highly confusing. This is, I think, an appropriate amount. I'd ask that you do this. Is what we had.
Any questions? If not, all those in favor?
Well, we'd have to move it for discussion, right? Yeah.
Somebody move it?
What move which? What are we talking about?
Which one?
JP2. I'll move it. Is there a second?
Second, Didio.
Okay.
Okay, we're open for discussion. Anybody?
Well, I have just a couple things to say. I initially, I can tell you, I have given this resolution more thought over the last, I appreciate you bringing it a month ago so that we could start to think about this. And I again thought, bring a resolution, put a salary in there and, take the debate of the 12% off the table because by resolution, that 12% add-on for this confidential investigator was removed. So you were coming with a resolution to set this salary. My biggest concern after giving this a lot of consideration is if we pass this resolution, one current non-bargaining employee hired March of 2020 has a salary reset at 20% above the minimum. And we have some issues with the minimum, but they're still they're still the system we're working in. You've already come and asked for 10% above the minimum, which is the current salary at 55 something. If we pass this tonight, we'll raise that minimum again by another 10%. And I guess at this point, what comes to mind is the recent hire of our recent jail administrator, which was in February of 2019, I believe. The sheriff went back and renegotiated with this hire to stay within the 10%. And the person actually did that. If we were to move this resolution tonight, we would be setting a salary for your confidential investigator at a higher rate than the current jail administrator's making. So I assume there's other non-bargainings that are similar and in this position. And to me, that's why I think it would be difficult for me to support this at this time. So I'm not going to support this resolution.
You're not going to support it?
No.
So since we only have 4 people, there's no use discussing it any further at this time.
Well, it's a majority of who's here, right?
No.
No?
Yes,
Majority.
but a tie is a no.
Oh.
There are 4 of us, so it has to be a vote of 3.
Do you want to take a vote?
Oh, yeah, let's do it. Okay. Those in favor of JP2? Aye.
Keith?
Those,
He hasn't called for a vote.
Didio, no.
those opposed?
Aye.
Okay.
And did you vote no, Mike?
Yes.
He voted no.
Thank you.
Resolution is lost, so. JP3,
DP3 was to accept a grant to fund the victim witness program coordinator's position.
I'll move that.
I'll second.
are there any questions? Any further discussion? Not all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
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 Those opposed? No opposition, it's passed. JP4,
Is the permission to fill a vacancy that's about to occur at the end of the week in that position.
Yeah, I'll move that as well.
I'll second.
okay, any further discussion, any questions? If not, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
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 I guess unanimous, no opposition. Passed, okay?
So the other issue that I had wanted to discuss, it isn't a resolution, it was kind of long range, or longer range issue, given the flavor of the group, not wanting to bring the investigator position back up to what it was 3 years ago or a year ago. I'm not sure where we're going with this, but we have a senior ADA position vacant. She left because she was trying to make more money and wasn't getting above the salary that had been set despite the extra work and so on. I have some qualified candidates that are interested, but they're looking for salaries higher than that. And to get good people, we're gonna have to pay salaries that are commensurate. So I don't know if that's worth doing. I was hoping to try to do some sort of reorganization using some of the extra revenues and we're working on some issues with different programs to try to free up some of the funds in the budget to create a higher salary. Again, I don't know where that's going, if it's going anywhere, given who's going here, but I hope to get some direction to bring that forward so we can hopefully fill these positions, because now that the clock is running again on all the criminal cases, we're very shorthanded, and it's going to start resulting rapidly in people being denied justice, you know.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, I have a suggestion with this, because we haven't, and it's one of the problems with the confidential investigator, we haven't increased the base on the non-bargaining group for 5 years, I think. So I think the way to handle this, as opposed to doing position by position, is to look at and whether it's appropriate for to ask the chair to do it or HR to do it, I don't know, but we need to look at the base salaries on all the non-bargaining people and look at increasing that base. That not only helps the DA because it would raise the base salary for that group, but it does it equitably, which we need to do. I mean, it hasn't been increased for a long time, so it's not surprising that the base salaries are below the what they kind of the market rate as they were 5 years ago. So I would suggest, instead of considering that request specifically, that we refer it and I don't know to whom. I don't know if maybe I don't know. I don't know if we send it to Ways and Means or if we send it to the chair, but that we need to look at our base salaries for that group.
And that's actually why I struggled so with all of this, because if we're allowing the system we're working in, we can allow up to 10%, and then if you go above that, you have to come to the legislature. But those bases on the grades that are established haven't moved, and they need to. They need to be more realistic.
Actually, the bases did move. When this group eliminated 12% differential pay, cut the base 12% on that job.
No, but the grade 6, John, when the 12% was taken away from this position, my understanding is the confidential investigator was put into a grade 6, and that grade has a base salary, and that's what they use to go 10% above. And that is the base, just like the grade 2, 3, 4, 5. None of those bases on those particular grades have been really amended since 2015, and that should happen. And then these conversations going 10% above a more realistic base may make a lot more sense.
It would certainly be a lot easier if we adjusted for the cost of living, at least the basis.
Yes,
But
exactly.
here, we're stripping salary out each time we get a vacancy, money's cut. So we went backward 12% from February of 2020 to March or April of 2020.
That doesn't.
Okay, well, I would move then that we not give anyone any money at all. You got a budget
We were
problem.
here a month ago, and I heard the same suggestion that we should be reevaluating the salaries. Has anything happened to reevaluate that salaries? Because the clock's running, we're still short-handed, and if this group isn't going to release control of setting the salaries a bit, or adjusting the salaries a bit, then we're going to have a rapid problem, because we're not going to be able to attract and retain good people that are going to be able to protect the county. So, that's a great suggestion, Keith, but it's been a month. Nothing's happened.
I have
not really worried about the other
made this
positions. I'm worried
suggestion.
about my office, which
That's
I haven't been able to
good.
fill
I haven't made
for
the
months.
suggestion, no, I haven't heard anyone else make the suggestion that we refer this for specific action. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying we need to look at it. I'm saying that we need to either refer it to Ways and Means, to our chair, or to our HR. We need to take action and take action now. I have another question that's kind of unrelated to that, and that's for our HR. Do we exit interviews when people leave? Okay, thank you.
If I don't give the notice far enough in advance, I'll try and do that.
Thank you.
Sometimes I don't find out such a person.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get an exit interview when
Yeah,
someone's
but we
gone.
have done some exit interviews
But-
like we did with Amy, Russell, and she left, and we've had several other people that have had it with their supervisors.
So, and I don't know, is our chair, is Chair McNabb Coleman still on the line?
Yes.
Do you want us to ask you and HR to look at this? Do you want us to ask Ways and Means? Or do you have another preference?
Why
Because
don't,
I agree with the VA, we need to make a specific recommendation.
yeah, I think it would be good to go to HR and myself first, and we can make a determination.
About the type
And
of
that's my
movement.
recommendation, that we send this issue for kind of fairly immediate reaction. the response, as the DA is saying, it's becoming critical.
We're in left end
And-
of February, March, and here we are in mid-October. And we're still down people, and my people are starting to get fatigued from all the extra work, and we're just coming up full speeding, so it's gonna be a problem.
Lisa Lippold, Lynn Marinelli and myself can sit down and take a look at this and see what kind of budgetary impact it's going to be, and kind of what sort of length of study it may take to arrive at some higher baseline
Great.
situations. Because, as you know, we're in a crunch, so that crunch isn't going to let up for next year's budget, the budget after. So we'll do what we can, but I agree, this definitely needs to be addressed.
Great, thank you.
My thought is if everyone's looking for approximately 20% above base, and it's been 5 years without any adjustment of the base salaries, if we've given approximately 2% a year cost of living increases, we can adjust all the bases up 10%, and then if you can reach it within the next 10%, we wouldn't have to bother this group, which I think we would in the examples we talked about. And if we don't need the full extra 10%, then so be it. But that might be a quicker, easier way of resolving the issue that I have, and that I think the sheriff apparently has, and other departments have, which is those outdated numbers on those base salaries are curtailing our ability to attract and retain people. The other thing that a lot of counties have, that we used to have some steps, we have 0 steps in our department now. So if there's cost of living, that's fine, but that keeps the person even with where they were the year before. It's designed to keep up with inflation, not to be a raise. Other counties have steps of, whatever percent per year. I know Onondaga County had 22 or 24 steps, meaning they were hoping to keep somebody 20 years or more, which I think is a great idea, because once we invest all the time into money and training and experience, we'd like to retain people longer. We have 0 steps. So if you're hired at this number, 10 years later, you're still at that number, less inflation and cost of living increases, which theoretically are balancing each other out. So you move nowhere in 10 years. There's no steps, there's no incentives, and so on.
Only possibly the 2% increase that the non-bargaining's made.
Well, the cost of living
Yeah,
is offset
right.
by the
Yeah.
inflation rate,
Yeah.
which is why we have cost of living increases. So it's
Yeah.
not really an increase, it's a state
Okay.
level, which
Mhm.
hasn't applied to the base salary set in all
Yeah.
these years, which is why the 5-year minimum senior ADA is 69,000, and regular attorney is 63,900. So it's just difficult to attract and retain good people.
Any further questions or comments?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, John.
Thanks.
Consent to one, wait a minute.
We got the coroner's resolution in minutes.
Yep. And Denise, is Denise still online?
I'm here. Good evening.
Please go ahead.
You have my report. We don't have a lot of updates in regards to COVID, other than the health department. They're starting to become overwhelmed again. So they're no longer providing us with a list of quarantined addresses. So we are no longer flagging the addresses for responders, but staff is continuing to screen callers and asking for flu-like symptoms, just as a precautionary to make sure that we're helping responders stay safe. In regards to discovery, I'm just trying to continue to keep the committee updated on where we are. As you can see, we are gravely behind. The chart that I sent kind of shows a path of how we're digressing in time of completing the cases. You see August doesn't have any of the completed because we haven't even started August cases. We're still working on July 21st cases. Thankfully, the DA's office has been great about understanding. In regards to training, our 4 new trainees just completed the APCO basic course in Canandaigua. They are doing their final week of classroom training here at the backup center, doing some simulations and scenarios, and they will start on the floor next month, anywhere between Monday and Wednesday, depending on their schedule and what supervisor they're following. They'll do that for about 12 rotations, and then hopefully they'll be on their own in the beginning of January. The final item on my report relates to a contract with Nick Colas. Nick and I have been talking about a contract for next year because we obviously have to continue the services. And at this point, we don't have a county employee trained to do the work. We've been averaging about $1,500 a month, which is roughly maybe 20 hours a month of work for Nick. So I'll probably be bringing a resolution next month for a contract with him for next year. I don't think I have anything else unless anyone has any questions.
Any questions, anybody? I guess not. Thank you for waiting.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, I think the only thing we got left is, the minutes, okay. Minutes of, September 9th.
I move them.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any questions? Any corrections? If not, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Okay, minutes are approved. We have a resolution or two yet. EMO, JP5. Motion? Somebody?
I'll move it.
Second? I'll second it. Okay, any questions on it? No? We have the people here to explain it, I guess. No questions, we'll proceed. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Those opposed? Carried. Thank you. The coroner, JP1. Motion, please.
I'll make a motion for this.
I'll second it.
Yeah, I had a question about his. Is he here?
No.
No.
It wasn't at all clear to me what this was for.
It's a donation.
Yeah, but the problem with donations is once they have to be replaced, it's our cost. And that was my other
Chairwoman would
question.
like to answer that, I think.
It's
She has
what?
her hand raised.
Aileen wants to talk.
Okay.
Hi, I do have the information that I'm passing off to Rich or Chris to look at. That was my question as well. He seems to think that they'll find the funding to replace the tablets, but I said I needed something more concrete so that I could understand completely who was going to be responsible. If you're used to all of a sudden using a certain technology and the technology is no longer available, then we have to produce it somehow. So we'll find. I think there's more work to be done on this resolution before we pass it officially, or you can pass it here and we'll discuss it in full ledge.
Can we table it till, Ways Means?
Well, why don't we just table it till next meeting? Is it time sensitive? Do you know? Does anyone know if it's time sensitive?
It doesn't state it. I spoke with him on the phone regarding this because I had similar questions because he was asking me about the resolution. From the sheet that he provided to Aileen, it shows that the county would be responsible for any future maintenance and repairs, and he understood that. But he didn't give me any other guidance on where the funds would be from, but it doesn't state that there's a deadline or anything.
Well, I'd move that we table it and ask him to come to the next meeting so I can talk it over. Because as I say, I'm not even sure what they're for. I mean, it's the description was pretty vague.
Tracking opioid related deaths, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
well,
I'll second it.
Second.
thank you.
Yep.
Okay, I guess, those in favor of tabling, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? None? Okay, it's tabled until, next month. I believe that's all the business we have, unless I missed somebody?
Nope.
Okay, well, thank you all, and
Well, I move we adjourn after we have cookies and the and Kool-Aid.
What's
what
that
kind of
mean?
Kool-Aid?
No, I'm sorry. That was juice I meant. That was a bad choice. You're right. My
Okay.
bad.
I guess we're adjourned, so.